Good morning, Sprinkled Donut. How are you doing this morning? I hope you are doing well. Hope the audio is not too loud. Welcome this morning's Blunders Balderdash and Questions. Pippidot, good morning. Let me know if the audio is too loud. I'll adjust it as much as I can on my end. I hope you had a great week. Thank you for being here this morning for Blunders Balderdash and Questions. Yes, make sure you're on all messages or live messages, not top. Good morning, Kitty Q. Audio is great. All right, good. I just bought. I upgraded the audio recordings. What you're after hearing here. I'll show you. This is my mobile kit. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. There you can see it. That in scale. I mean, that's how big it is. It's just a little bit bigger than my index finger. Small little recorders, but this one is actually hooked into the system. I've got two of these. One's hooked into the system that's digital recording, and then this one is a complete mobile kit with lapel mics, hence the audio recording. A little dusty, yes, I know. But anyways. Good morning, Kevin. All the way. Kevin is here with us. Make sure you are on live or top chat, not all chat. From South Carolina. Give it another minute here and we'll get this going. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here and you're watching this after the fact, or if you're watching it and not participating in the chat, where the only thing I kill is my free time. Researching crimes and people who commit the most obscene and insane things in this world. But seriously, my Google history is landed me on more than a couple of different watch lists. Because Googling how to dissolve a body at 2 a.m. can be suspicious activity unless you're running a true crime channel. So think about it that way. All right, let's get this morning's Blunders and Balderdash going. Blunders and Balderdash, welcome to a show where I boldly tackle all my past blunders, bizarre questions, and internet chaos. Because why keep my dignity when I can turn it into content? I'll be diving into the wildest stuff I've been asked, some serious, some strange, and some that make me wonder if the internet is okay. These gems have come from YouTube comments, live streams, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter, currently known as Confusing, and even a few brave souls who have emailed me like it's 2007. With that in mind, the first one today. Are you scared about covering these serial killers? No, but I'll admit I'm not scared of covering these serial killers. But I do make sure at least a couple times every night before I go to bed that I check the locks on my house and make sure the alarm is set because just because they may have the serial killer locked up, but you never know where their crazy fans are going to pop up. Next one. Are you still here? The show's over. Go home now. Love you, Will. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if the show's over with. I think the show goes on. Even when the live stream ends, the show goes on. Maybe, you found something of interest, or I talk about someone in the stream, a killer, and you want to read more about them. It makes you go out and get a book, read about it, or you download a digital, book and read it on your Kindle or your Amazon, app or Nook or whatever. Maybe you decide to watch a video on it. But I think, it never goes, away. I think the show goes on. Next one. How long of a sentence did David Berkowitz get? I can't find it online. Thanks. Well, David Berkowitz got 6 continuous life sentences. Eligibility for parole is never going to happen. Yes, their formality, they do have to look at his thing every, when it does come up, I think every 4 years, and then stamp it denied. But, he himself, David Berkowitz, has told the prison system on more than one occasion. I think it's actually close to 4 times now. He's told the prison system, I never want out. I don't want to leave. So, and he's written a letter to the parole board and to the warden. And every time, it comes anywhere near, the possibility of them rubber stamping, denied for parole, he sends them another letter to reiterate he never wants to be released from prison. He knows where he is exactly where he deserves to be. So, next one. Where is Mulaney Gibbs these days? Hope she's in prison as well as her friends. Well, Mulaney is at home. She is not in jail. She was not criminally charged, or convicted of anything. For her involvement in what she knew Lori was planning, or what she didn't know, or her involvement in the crimes at all that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell would eventually do. So she's at home. Again, some people see that, that she should have been charged as an accessory, or been, found, punished, by some means. It's hard to prove. What did she really know? And what did, at that time, did she know that Lori and Chad were going down this route and that they were going to start killing people? Did she know about, their end goal to not only kill people, but then kill themselves to cross over to the Veil? It's hard to prove any of that. A lot of it would be hearsay evidence as well. But again, I get where people are coming from when they ask, about her, and has she been convicted of, is she in prison along with her friends? And friends, I'm assuming, is Lori and Chad, not additional friends. There may be a lot of people out there that knew, about what, Lori and Chad were going to be doing. And we haven't seen anyone else, charged criminally along with what they did. I mean, they had to have some type of support and help. You don't just kill, 2 children and a couple husbands, and a wife, and not tell anybody. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that they talked to, or they told about what they did or what they were going to do. I mean, and Alex is gone, and he was the one that did the dry run, attempt on Tammy's life, where then Chad chased him off. But I mean, he's gone, so you can't charge him. But thank you again for the comment. Next one. I hope Duggar is getting his ass beat daily by his celly. do a video on it. Um, as far as I know, he was, if he probably is, let's just start with that. He probably is paying some type of protection behind bars. But he is in a prison, and his housing unit are all people who have been convicted of similar crimes as Chad, was. I mean, Josh Duggar was. Sorry if I said Chad, but he he's in a housing unit. So if he is being, he is being extorted. We know that he was coerced into smuggling that cell phone back for someone. Someone had enough influence or undue pressure against him to make him want to do that. Of course, the dumbass dropped it. He didn't, carry it back, correctly or get it back to the housing unit correctly. Is he being beat by his celly? From what I understand, Josh Duggar is in a one-man cell, and most of the people in that housing unit are in, there's one person to a cell. They're not like a bunk bed situation. He is not, and I can't believe that I have to dispel this, and I've been dispelling it since the beginning, since he went to Seagoville Penitentiary. He is not in a dormitory style housing unit, but yet there are people out there that believe that he is. And there are also people out there that believe that he is some type of religious leader behind bars there at Seagoville Penitentiary. He's not. He is part of a prayer group and a Bible study group, but he's just one of 26 individuals in the group. He's not any more important than another inmate in that group. The actual group itself is run by a minister who comes to the prison and runs the system. He is a volunteer from a local church there in that area. But Josh Duggar is not running in any kind of prayer group. He's not in charge, nor is he any more important, nor, again, is he being beat by his celly because he doesn't have a celly. But I'm sure he's being extorted, and if his family, there have been reports that the family no longer has the means to support him. I don't know if that's true. I've seen the same, articles that have been out there online. People Magazine, ABC News ran it as well. And so did Fox. That his family no longer has the money to put on his books to support him any further from here, other than minimally, to put money on for his phone and tablet so he can visit his wife and children. But I can't confirm any of that. That's why I haven't covered it. If I could prove that there was a sharp drop off on his inmate account, I can't get those records. They don't release those. It's a federal institution. If it was a state, I could request those records with a FOIA request. At a federal level, they will only, say, look, this person deposited money on the account. They won't tell you how much that person put on the account or how frequently this person. You have to know who that person is. I could ask, is it Anna? Is it mom? Is it dad? If I know their names and I can request the information that way, but you have to know who you're looking for to see if they deposited money on the account. You can't just say, is it the, Christian Coalition? I mean, I guess you could if you know more information than that itself, but is he being beat by a celly? No, doesn't have one. Next one, dumb idea for a morning show. Go back to a drinks and coffee show. So you don't like this format. I get that. Drinks and coffee, you're talking about Coffee Brew, and show that I was doing before. I may bring that back someday. May not. I don't know. I know that the viewership for this format and what I'm doing now is a lot higher than than when I was doing the Coffee Brew. Coffee Brew started off strong and then it died off like the last year and a half, almost 2 years. So maybe this show, the viewership will die off as well. I know, and I see the comments also, and I did not print any of them out, that, hey, there are only 9 people, watching right now. a vast majority of the people who watch this show, and hello and good morning to each and every one of you who is going to watch this after the live stream. That's where my viewership is, in later hours of the day today and into Sunday. People will view this before the trivia show. So I don't think it's a dumb idea, but thank you anyways for your comment. Next one. Couldn't they just search I want to kill her? He wrote a blog about it. That is number 7. And excuse me. I am not aware of the context of that. The video was about a teenager who killed his girlfriend. He said he mistakenly shot her and killed her. It was because she rebuffed his advances. He wanted to take the relationship further. Yeah, he wanted to have sex with her. She didn't want to. And he took her out in the wooded area and shot her and killed her. He says it was by mistake. Well, actually, no, it started in the house. He said he shot her in the house. Then he tried to get her out of the house, almost dead. But I don't know of any blog that he wrote about killing her. Maybe there's something to that. I'd have to revisit and look through my notes again, and ask, do some search for it. But I'm not aware of any blog that he did about wanting to kill her, before that day. Because it certainly didn't come up in the trial, because he was convicted, of the murder, but it certainly didn't come up in the trial transcripts that he had a blog or he wrote about it beforehand. But thanks. Next one. You're slowly killing yourself with smoking. Quit now and you will live longer. As if I didn't already know that. I appreciate, people caring about my health. And it's not as simple as just saying, yeah, I'm gonna quit tomorrow. As anyone who's ever worked in addiction counseling or an addiction center will tell you that quitting smoking is and we know is harder than giving up heroin or meth or even in this day fentanyl. The every aspect of smoking is addictive. Everything from the actual tobacco, lighting it, and all of the nuances leading up to the actual and then after smoking itself. It's all addicting. But I understand, and thank you for saying and leaving a comment that I should quit smoking. I'll live longer. But at some point though, each and every one of us out there who do smoke cigarettes, knows we know it's killing us. Yeah, it's going to decrease our lives. We understand that. It's not like 1930 anymore where people believe that smoking is actually good for your health. We know in 2025, that it's bad for us. So, but thank you though. It is something that I have definitely worked on over the years, and I've cut down an awful lot compared to where I was years ago. So, not quite there yet though. Maybe someday. Next one. You spelled his last name wrong. Simple mistakes like this make you look stupid. Actually, the egg is on your face. I'm not going to point out who you are, but you're a longtime viewer, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. But his name is Dennis Rader. 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 Radar. Not reader. I know that you've probably got that the belief that I was spelling his name wrong, because I have myself seen it quite a few times on the internet where they have referred to him in news articles as Dennis Reader. But trust me, his last name is Rader. Rader. I know a lot of people make that mistake and have been, believe And I've been corrected multiple times in the comment section or in live streams in the comments that I've said his name wrong or I've spelled it wrong. But it is Rader, Raider, Dennis Rader. But thanks. Next one. Why did Chad stay in state for prison? Shouldn't they have sent him out of state? All right. This brings up an even bigger question. When it comes to the BOP, B as in Bill, O as in operation, P as in Paul. The BOP. Let's just hypothetically say your neighbor next door to you right now. I don't care if they live in a house next door, if they're across the hall from you, or whatever the context is. Your neighbor. Pick a neighbor, any neighbor. Let's say that they are convicted tomorrow of murder. There are three things that immediately happen before the actual conviction. All right. These three things happen before the conviction, before the sentence is passed down. First thing that they do is they do what's called a risk assessment of the individual. That is number one. Risk assessment. How much of a risk are they to themselves? And how much of a risk are they to other inmates and a risk to the general public? That's the first one, the risk assessment. The second one that they do, again, this is before conviction, is they determine the actual needs of the individual. If convicted, what do we need to do for the needs of this individual? Are they going to need a wheelchair in a prison that is wheelchair accessible? We can't put them in in a prison that doesn't have wheelchair ramps, or is all stairs, or it doesn't have an elevator. You can't put them in a situation where they're never going to be able to get in and out or get to actual services themselves. So they take the health, then they take the mental health, and they look at that. So physical health, then the mental health. And then for the mental health side, are there classes or things that this individual is going to need? Maybe it's risk, diversion, or anger management, or parenting classes. Because again, 97% of all people who are sent to prison eventually will get out one way or another, either alive or dead, but they're going to get out eventually, right? 100% will, especially if you consider the dead part. 76% of all prisoners who are serving time for murder will eventually get out in their lifetime and then live 10 to 15, maybe 20, 25 years after their actual conviction for murder. So a life sentence is usually 20 to 25 years sentence. But again, so they do the physical, then they do the mental health. And then the third thing that in that section that, from the second thing that they actually do beforehand is they're like, okay, is this person going to need ongoing medical care? Like maybe they're in liver failure. And do we have medical facilities at this place that are going to be able to help them? This is all, again, beforehand. And the third and final step that they do before an individual is sentenced to a prison sentence is they look at where their actual score is. They put all the first one together, the second one together, and it comes up with a score. And then on a scale, do they have previous convictions? That gives them a higher score. Do they have a violent offense? That's a higher score. And then all this is put together before sentencing. Then, once the individual is actually sentenced, they do a basic thing like this all over again. But the difference is they then look at the prison that is closest to them that can serve that sentence. So in Chad Daybell's case, so the question is, again, why did Chad stay in state prison? Shouldn't they have sent him out of state? So the BOP then looks at, okay, here's his score, here's his risk, here's his health, here's his mental health, and here's what we have available. Do they match up to this actual, what he's going to need? If so, they send him there. If there is a prison that they have an agreement with, say Wyoming or Minnesota or Wisconsin or New York or wherever it might be. They go onto the system. They go, okay, we can house this individual, but there is circumstances beyond that. Notoriety. Chad is a well-known individual, out there, and there's a lot of notoriety around his case, as is Lori Vallow. So they go, okay, can we deal with these things along with giving him the services he needs based on his score? And then the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, says, well, yeah, we can house him in state. We don't need to send him out of state. If they send him out of state, the state of Idaho, where he was convicted, they would have to pick up the cost to send him out of state at another prison. Maybe it only comes down to $87 a day to house him in state, but it would be $123 to send him to, Washburn, out of state, pick any prison out of state of Idaho, Pelican Bay, it might be $215 a day. But the residents, the taxpayers in the state of Idaho, pick up that bill to send him out of state. An example of that is Colorado and the Christopher Watts. The state of Colorado pays the state of Wisconsin to house Christopher Watts at the Dodge Correction Center. They pay the Dodge Correction Center rate of what it is per day for an inmate to house them. And everyone in the state of Colorado has to pay that. On their tax dollars go for that. But that's why they kept him in state, because they're able to meet his actual needs and requirements and risk and security and all that goes into his score. I know that was long-winded, but there's a lot more to some of these than just, hey, next one. Their information is out there about their debts. Do your homework. That one makes me laugh only because the information that is out there about the Watts, again, we're talking about Christopher Watts and Shanann, about their debts, a vast majority, I can't say 100%, because there are a lot of people out there that have made up, absolutely made up, their own numbers, where me and two others, friends of mine, went through and we did a deep dive into their financial situation in a 3-part series about the debts. And why did we do it? Is because Shanann on her Facebook lives and Chris in his actual confession said one of the things that was a major sticking point in their relationship that brought up stress and made them fight was their financial situation and the amount of debt that they were under. That's why we did the 3-part series. Now, again, a vast majority of those people who are out there who have made videos about their financial situation copied everything that we did. Because, I mean, I guess it's, they say, copying another person is a form of flattery. I wish they would at least put a blurb at the end of a video where they got their information from, where we actually did a deep dive and we can factually support 100% of everything from how much their mortgage was, how much Shanann's taxes were, and what she claimed her actual income was, all the way down to what the cost of the daycare and everything else was. We factually can support it with documents. As some people would say, we have the receipts. The other portion of those people out there are making it up and skewing the numbers in lower amounts and way higher. But they make that up because it fits the audience that they're actually talking to. And they know that they can't prove it. And if you ask them, these people, like this person who commented, that the information is out there and do my homework, I've done my homework. And I can factually prove it, in multiple different ways, along with having the actual copies of the actual files in forms and everything else. I have the receipts, I guess. But thank you. Next one. We see a what's for dinner video. Will we see a what's for dinner video anytime soon? can't wait. Well, yes, I do have two of them that are, I've already done them, I've recorded them. They're just in the editing stage. And I have been influxed with work, and everything else, and I just haven't gotten back to editing them. Will they be anytime soon? What's for dinner? Yes, you will see them here shortly. I would say within probably the next couple of weeks, but I can't say exactly when. I just have to find time to sit down and edit them. It's not as simple as like shoot the video and here is the information. People want, they want pictures, they want to see the actual documents, they want to see what the food is, and I'm trying to document as much as I possibly can with each and every one of them. So, but again, just understand that as soon as I get the chance to edit both of those videos, I will have them out for you, so they are coming. Next one. What's your take on the Christian Kirk murder? Bet you laughed about it and cheered. You're a sick fucker if you laughed or cheered about the murder of another individual. I have no other way to say that. Yeah, I talk about murder and mayhem and some of the most disgusting things that people do to each other, especially those who are vulnerable. But to stand up and cheer, and gloat and smile, or whatever on one side to, the death, the murder of a father, a brother, a husband, a community member, a Christian, that's just sick. That's sick to ever, stand up and laugh and cheer about it. To see, and I have seen some of the videos, and yes, thank you for everyone who has sent them to me or tagged me in them. I don't know where you think I am. It doesn't matter politically where I am. I'm not on the left. I'm not on the right. You can't, and I can't express that enough. But to cheer the murder of another individual, regardless of who they are, is just sickening. And you need to seriously check yourself on why you would be sitting there cheering or be happy that someone was murdered in front of their friends and family. It's disgusting. Now, is this a call to arms for one side or the other? It's another stepping stone in the whole thing. Just like, the legislator from Minnesota who was murdered, or the girl from Ukraine who was stabbed on the train and killed. It's just another step in the, and another example of the, the degradation of our society. And we have to, stand up and say, look, when is enough is enough? When are we seriously going to be sick and tired of the gun violence in this country? And don't get me wrong, I am a staunch, supporter of the Second Amendment. I have plenty of weapons myself. I won't get into what I have, but I have a lot, and no one's going to take mine from me. But we have to stop and think: should we have sensible gun control in this country? Should someone have, something where they can pick off a political, opponent at 200 yards? I don't even shoot a deer at 200 yards. I may see them coming towards me, from 200 yards with binoculars, but I'll wait till they get a lot closer so I can make damn sure I get that kill on that deer. And yes, I do deer hunt. And no, I've never shot Bambi, but I've shot Bambi's dad. But again, it's sick and disgusting, and you really need to check, your morals and ethics at the door. If you've been cheering or you're happy that Christian Kirk was murdered, I can't say it any more than, clearer than that. You really need help. You need to stop watching the damn news, because all the news does is divide us and puts us in the two different camps. So we're fighting with each other. But think about it. while you're fighting with the other side, what is the rest of those who are in charge getting away with that you're not paying attention to? But again, so we can move on, it's disgusting if you cheered the death of another person. He didn't do anything wrong. He stood up and he debated people. That's it. Who's next? Because that's what's going to happen. You can make damn sure that someone from the other side is going to, take out someone from the other side. And where do we stop? Where? Next. It's amazing people still watch your content even with no one laughing. Well, this is not a comedy channel. Yes, I might be a little goofy. I might wear, glasses in a YouTube shorts videos that have no lenses in them. I may wear a wig. I might wear, a shirt backwards, those like crisscross, the hip hop rap group from the 80s. Why not? It's all just a gag to keep you watching. You may have just swipe and you swipe away and you're like, wait a minute, this guy's not even wearing, there's no lenses in those glasses. It kept you watching for a couple seconds longer. At least I had a chance to get the actual message out to you. If it's a little bit more visually interesting than someone just standing there, with the talking to themselves, right? It's just a stick to keep you watching. But this is not a comedy channel. If you laugh and you find it, interesting, great. But at the same time, I'm still talking about the same serious topic. I'm just trying to get your visual interest, along with you to listen, open your, close your mouth and listen a little bit longer. Next. Chapter. That's chapter. This is a raptor. Chapter, raptor. The comment was, you said chapter. Yeah, you said raptor instead of chapter. On that video, I went back and I watched it again. I did not say raptor. I said chapter. That's the end of the chapter for this part of his life. I did not say raptor. I said chapter. I understand that sometimes it's hard, or maybe there's a glitch in a video where it's not, as easily understood and pronounced as it should be. But in that context, I went back and watched the video over and over again, probably about 4 times from front to end, to make sure I did not say raptor anywhere in the video. I said chapter. Explain the difference between the different kinds of murders in the USA, please. Well, there's different levels of murder. There's, depends upon what your state. So I can't give you a broad answer to your question. And I understand that this question most likely, again, it is coming from, and its format is worded from someone who's probably outside of the United States and is not aware of our criminal justice system. But let's just take my state for an example. There is, voluntary and there is involuntary manslaughter. Then there is murder, and then there is murder first degree, murder second degree. There are different levels in every state. And they may be basically the same thing, but they mean something different, or they have a different, penalty for each and every one. And then there is things on top of that. There is vehicular homicide, and then there is involuntary manslaughter, but with the cursor of being behind the wheel of a car, like a DUI driver. has a passenger and the passenger dies. They would charge him with vehicular homicide, with a motor vehicle, added to that. But that would be different from murder, which would be a higher one. Or they might charge him with murder and vehicular homicide or involuntary. They might, charge him with 5 or 6 different ones. And then when they give it all to the jury and say, come back with a verdict that charges that individual for the crime. So there is no right or wrong one, because again, several states have different definitions for different types of murder. Unless you're looking up, are talking about, hey, what's the difference between murder and involuntary manslaughter? You're looking for a broader, did the person premeditate it? That would be premeditated murder. Again, another one in the legal books in different states, there might be premeditated murder. They can charge that again if that person got behind the wheel of the car and they drove it and they hit a tree and their passenger died. They could charge them with premeditated murder on top of manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter and murder. But the premeditation, they could say, hey, he knew he was drunk and he, therefore he premeditated, or had circumstances that, that led to it. If you want a real breakdown of the different levels of different murders, I suggest you find a lawyer, someone who actually practices law, and they can explain it again from their state and give you a broader idea of what, the different levels of murder are, across the United States. I am not an attorney, nor do I play one on TV. But that's it. That's all 14 of this week's questions. Look at that. A lot of them. Every week. True. Together we stand, divided we fall. I just saw a doc on the Son of Sam. Ooh, then you should be interested in tomorrow night's trivia. Don't leave anybody, because we still have truth or false or true stories left. I'm just kind of looking at the comment section right now. Sprinkled Donut says social media has brought out some of the best people and truly some of the worst. That is true. And for a large percentage of it, unfortunately, people believe what they see on the internet, and they believe that they've expanded their universe by finding things that support their beliefs. What you don't understand, ladies and gentlemen, is when it comes to social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and even YouTube, to a large extent, they're going to show you content that you are going to agree with and that you're going to strongly disagree with. They want to keep that engagement, whichever one you react to the most. If you, like, hey, I only want to watch true crime, they will show you all the true crime things that they can push out to you, that support one direction. Maybe it's all about the punishment of the individual because that's what you're more interested in. But they want to keep you on their site as long as possible in interacting. When it comes to politics and everything else, religion, your right to have a reproductive choice, everything in this world, it doesn't matter what the issue is, they want to keep you on their site. The longer you're there, the more ads they can serve to you, the more money that site is going to make off of you. Every site, and I don't care where it is. Even sites like Ground News. If you don't know what Ground News is, I highly suggest you check it out and buy a subscription. But they are serving you ads and collecting data from you. Likewise, when you watch my content here on this channel, if you don't financially support, buy a t-shirt, a hat, or give a super chat to me, you're just telling the algorithm, I don't really care. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But you become the product. You're always the product at one point or another for the platform. And that's the truth. And I hate to, I keep on trying to say it in a nice enough way, but that is the truth. I understand that a large amount of people don't have the money to financially support someone, like buy a hat, buy a t-shirt, send a super chat, whatever. But I understand that. Just being here and viewing, you're doing as much as you can. And I appreciate that. I'm not going to push it down, and shove it down your throat that you have to, but you're doing what you can, because I know this world is in it, and we're all, fighting together to try to, survive. Nothing in this world is getting any cheaper. Some of us are on fixed incomes, some of us are not, but it's the balance of that. It's like a teeter totter. You have to kind of keep it up off the ground on both sides. Otherwise, the other ones, they're on the ground. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. But anyways, so now let's get to the truth or fact. And now for something completely different. Fact or fake news. Every one of these stories has been shared a minimum of 100,000 times on different social media platforms. YouTube, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, you name it, it has been shared out there on private websites, social media, but everywhere, 100,000 times. And each and every one of these has gotten at least 10,000 likes. Someone has either upvoted it with a thumbs up, or given it a like or whatever. At least 10,000. That is my bare minimum. Shared 100,000 times and gotten at least 10,000 likes for it. All right. First story. Is this real or is this fake? A New Zealand woman showed the strength of her soul when she ran barefoot over 100 meters on loose Legos bricks in 24.75 seconds. Gabriella Wall broke the Guinness Book of World Record for the fastest 100 meters barefoot on Lego bricks when she attempted the 328-foot sprint recently. Afterwards, she said it was painful, but she has the record. Is this the real story, or is this one of the fake stories? You're trying to pick out only the real story out of these three. One is real and the other two are fake. The second story is a woman from Canada showed off her strength. She ran barefoot over 150 meters across broken beer bottles in 47.15 seconds. Sahara Gilberg broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest 150-meter barefoot run on glass. This is sadly the last year the record will be kept, as Guinness records will no longer be recording harmful skills. And that is true. I don't know if the rest of the story is true, but Guinness Book of World Records is no longer going to record records of people who are doing dangerous, stupid things. That they're no longer going to record those records in the Guinness Book of World Records. But I don't know if the rest of the story is true. But again, this is the second story. Is this one fact or is it fake? The third story. Workers doing renovations at an Ontario high school made a surprising discovery behind a bathroom wall. They discovered a missing then 17-year-old student who was known as a prankster of sorts. We believed he moved away 50 years ago. He must have fallen into the cavity between the two walls, only to be discovered 51 years later. Again, is story number 1, 2, or 3 the correct story. Comment in the comment section which one of these three you believe is the real story. And thank you, Gemma, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Don't need to justify anything. People need to stop giving you a hard time. Gemma, sweetheart, I just watched a documentary, a news story from the BBC about what is going on in Great Britain and in Wales as well, about how many people have been arrested and convicted for sharing either a tweet or sharing a news story or saying something on social media that was wrong or deemed harmful. In the past 9 months, because we're only in the ninth month of the year, 12,000 plus individuals in just the UK have been arrested and convicted. I did not realize in the UK, you guys do not have the First Amendment or some variation of the First Amendment. And that is my bad. But which one is the real story? 1, 2, or 3? Kirikou, a double question mark, no clue. I am truly sorry. So much for investigative journalism in the UK. If you get arrested and convicted of sending a tweet or a message that is deemed harmful, I mean, wow. If that was here in the United States, I think I'd probably only have 5 or 6 viewers, maybe a dozen, viewers, because the rest of them would be in jail for saying things. I'm kidding. It's a joke. The vast majority of you are great people. Severely restricted. Wow, I did not know that, Gemma, until I saw the documentary. I think it was by BBC. It may have been by BBC Two. And it was a news story by one of the news story outlets, but it was one of the two, either BBC or BBC Two. You could probably find it on YouTube because that's where I found it. Again, I say probably because a lot of times what is on I can find on the internet, it may be restricted by location because either the state or the government itself is restricting access, so you just won't ever find things online. All right, the correct answer to today's fake or real news is story A is the real story. The lady who set the Guinness Book of World Records for running over Lego bricks is the real story. If you want to look it up, there is the record, the link to the Guinness Book of World Records from the UPI News Network. Tomorrow night's trivia, again, is on the Son of Sam. The Son of Sam is tomorrow night's trivia. I hope that everyone who is here today can tune in tomorrow, and I hope a lot more tune in for the Son of Sam trivia night. Lucky guess. I'd have to pull it up on my search history, Gemma, about if it was BBC or BBC Two or it was one of the other networks, but I'm pretty sure it was BBC, just the BBC, not the BBC Two. I do know quite a few people though who in the past have worked for the BBC or the BBC Two, but most of them have now moved on to either they're working for the Al Jazeera network or they are in other lines of work. It's just like school teachers. You can ignore them and underpay them for so long, and take away their ability to do their job and restrict them before they just say, throw their hands up in the air and go, "That's not worth it anymore." You're so isolated. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Well, the only thing I can suggest, if you feel, if you're feeling isolated, is to get out and find people who have similar interests. That's what I tell my nieces all the time. Because they feel isolated, they feel restricted by the information that they're able to gather, in their lives. And they don't live here in the United States, so but nor do they live in the UK, unfortunately. But I do have family there. I have an uncle who lives in Wales. But get out and find groups, that you're interested, have similar interests in hobbies. I mean, you're always going to the see the Elvis impersonator. So maybe there's other people who go to that who have a similar interest. Expand your reaches. You don't have to do it all at once. Find one, see if you like it. If you do, maybe go back again. Otherwise, just try to find other ways. Read. There's quite a few different, ways of getting, information out there. Even if your country restricts access on the internet. That's true. I mean, I wish the same thing for myself, Gemma, that I had a larger outreach. Unfortunately, if you're only using YouTube right now, I hate to break the bad news to a lot of people out there, and this is for you, Gemma, and this is for anybody else out there that is a fan of any type of content at all on YouTube other than shorts videos. YouTube has spent so much money and so much time and recalibrated the algorithm in February to boost shorts videos and to draw attention and people doing shorts videos that they're not paying attention and the algorithm is working against those who make long form content. For all those out there that think that my channel is dying or it's hurting, not at all. I mean, and shorts videos only they pay way worse than long form content. Trivia nights, and stuff like that. I mean, I would have to put out 10 shorts videos to equal one long form video, monetary wise from AdSense, but it draws attention. It brings in views. It's the only reason why I even still do them. I don't even like making 60-second or 1 minute videos, minute and a half videos. I don't even like doing it myself because I can guarantee you the first things I'm going to see in the comment section is people who are going to like it, who give it a thumbs up, and the other people are going to love it, and then the next comments after that are, you left out details. Yeah, well, I can't tell you the entire story about somebody who committed a crime in 2 minutes. Yeah, you have to pick and choose what you cover in the story. That's why I don't like making, shorts videos. But it is short attention span theater. That's the way the world is focusing. They want the TikTok video, the 40-second video. They want the Vine, if anybody out there remembers Vine, the 15-second video. That's what catches people's attention. But I wish I had more reach too. Got to go to Instagram and TikTok. I mean, the I've said this before, and unfortunately, I have to reconsider my stance on it. But for all you out there, in the world who may hear my voice and want to pay attention to what I'm about to say, please listen up. If you have a daughter or a son, or even yourself, or a granddaughter or a grandson or a neighbor or anyone that you know personally who uses TikTok at all, or even has downloaded the app on their phone, part of the user agreement to be able to download or use TikTok, you are giving up your contact information, everyone that is in your phone that is a contact. You're giving up that information to TikTok. You're also giving up your geolocation of everything that you do. When you turn geolocation off on your phone, because you don't want people to necessarily know, or the phone provider or anyone else to know where you are, TikTok is running their own geolocation in their app. On top of that, you are giving TikTok access to your camera and all of your videos that you may have saved in your phone or device. It goes for tablets as well. If you're using TikTok that way, or computer, it says all devices, and it actually spells it out: cell phone, tablet, netbook, PC. It's all devices, but I'm just talking about phones. On top of that, you're also giving them access to your phone and anything that you may have saved in either a notes or any type of software where you may have saved a date. Maybe it's your anniversary, or the date your spouse died, or a date of when your grandchild's birthday is, or when they're graduating from high school. If you save that in a calendar anywhere, you're giving that information to TikTok. It's in their user agreement. Yes, there are other apps out there that do request similar information, but no social media platform goes as far as TikTok. And what they want and what they are gathering from individuals. And trust me, every single piece of information that they gather from you, your photos, what's in the background, what you're doing, what you're eating, whatever the photos might be, who your contacts are, how often do you contact them, what their addresses are, if you have that saved, all of that information is pure gold to TikTok and to these different companies out there that are saving this information, because they can then resell it 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 100 million times. They can sell that information off to other people. That's why I don't use TikTok. That's why I don't use Instagram. Yeah, I have an Instagram account, but I turned it off and it keeps on reactivating itself for some stupid reason. But I have it, but I don't use it. And I certainly hell don't use it for my cell phone or my tablet or any kind of mobile device. But why do I bring that up, and why did I just go on that little tirade to tell you all that? Because unfortunately, it has come to my attention and has been pretty much, hammered in that eventually I'm going to have to, use TikTok, if I want to sustain any type of growth on this platform for YouTube. I mean, I can't even get 25% of my viewers to subscribe to my channel. It's at 22.5. The average is 30%. I can't even get it to 25. The highest it's ever gotten is 24.25. That's the closest I got to, getting to the 30%, which is the average for YouTube creators. Yeah, but hey, and I know people who complain when they're like, hey, only 65% of you are subscribed. Really? Wow. Could you imagine what Trivia Night would look like if we had 65% of 36,000 people, who are subscribed to my channel? Right? But yeah, I'm going to have to eventually reconsider my stance on TikTok. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Hopefully something else comes up down the line. I've been offered to join Pepperbox. And if you don't know what Pepperbox is, I'm not going to explain it to you. But it's another platform. But I don't think I'm going to be doing that anytime soon. I enjoy the content that's on there, and the channels who are on Pepperbox, but I don't see that doing what I do would fit necessarily on Pepperbox. But I can make individual content just for them that's different. But and I don't know how much that would really help this channel. I don't see the crossover there. Good morning, Gayla and Lexi. Good morning. Oh yeah, Lexi, it's there. Anyone that's ever downloaded TikTok or uses it, download the app. You're giving them access. You don't even have to use it. You just have to have the app on your phone or your device. That's all you have to have. And immediately they're running geolocation and they got your contacts and everything else. It's right there in the user agreement. And don't feel bad, ladies and gentlemen, if you use TikTok and you've never actually read the user agreement. A vast majority of people never read the user agreements for even their debit card. They just scroll down all the way and say accept so they can get their damn debit card so they can use it. Little alone do they ever read the user agreements, with credit cards or loans, buying a house, the biggest purchase that you'll ever make in your life. For a vast majority of people out there, they don't even read the paperwork then, because they're in a hurry. I just want to sign. Give me the keys so I can have I can go to my new home. People don't read the lease agreements for an apartment or condo. They don't have time for that. And even if they do, a lot of it is not put in legalese. It's so worded and so convoluted. If you read it, what the hell does it even mean? But it's very clear, and they have a complete section on accessing your devices right there in TikTok. Bold letters at the top of it, and then it tells you exactly what they're going to get access to on your device. They're not hiding it, and they're not the only ones. I'm not going to take me all day, and I'd have to make a whole nother stream going through each and every one of them, and that's not really a crime, so it's not really something I'm going to cover here. So. I also deleted Instagram app as it reactivated it. Yeah, I've deactivated it multiple times. If you actually go to my Instagram, there's nothing on it at all, but they keep on reactivating it. I think it's some of these social media, Tom, these different apps and stuff like that, these different social media sites. I think what they do is if you deactivate your account, they reactivate it, and because they can show this is how many users we have. It's just like Facebook. Facebook says they have 29 billion users, people who use Facebook. Well, what percentage of those are bots, right? And look what happened, when Elon bought, Twitter, and how much a percentage of the entire platform they found out was bots and bot farms with 10,000, 100,000 different usernames. It's the same thing on Facebook. It's the same thing on Instagram. Same thing on YouTube. Every site is fighting the same thing. These bots, because they can make a million different accounts in the span of 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So, and then it's just eventually it's you talking to your friends and bots commenting on it, right? How many of the 36,000 subscribers that I have, how many of them are real? I don't know. Maybe they're bots that are my channel members. If they are, I hope those 36,000 bots are 35,000 or 34,000. I would hope that they would invite at least 79,000 more of their bot friends to come subscribe. I'm kidding. That's the world we live in. Will, what about Rumble? I've looked into it. I know a couple people that are on Rumble. Um, I would have to look into it more and what the requirements are for Rumble, though. I just don't see the crossover. It's like if I was to build a following on Rumble or Pepperbox or or one of these other sites that are behind a paywall, how would I get these people from those sites to subscribe to YouTube? Or how would I get the people who are on YouTube who demand everything be free and I never ask or tell them or push a product out to, people? How would I get them to go to Pepperbox or Rumble or any of the other ones? See what my question is, Kitty Q? It's trying to get that crossover. It's like, okay, if Rumble was free and it wasn't behind a paywall, or Pepperbox was free and it wasn't behind a paywall, or one of these other sites wasn't behind a paywall and you could enjoy it for free, yeah, and I could probably get people to to open or join that account and follow me there. But the people who are on those ones where you're not restricted and you don't have ads, that are pushing at you. You don't have to ever worry about skippable ads or ads that are going to interrupt the content at all. Those ones, you're not going to get people who are on that platform who are paying a membership to not have ads. You're not going to get them to come over to YouTube and watch you here, where YouTube is running ads on the side and they're keeping 100% of that money. It's only the ads that you see on the actual video screen itself, like right now, that those ads, those skippable ads and unskippable ads that you see there, those are the only ones that I can control. The ones that are on your sidebar above, like the comment, so you have your comment section, you have an ad right at the top there. 100% of that money is going straight to YouTube. I can't control that. I can't get rid of it either. Yeah, sure, I could turn off monetization if I had more channel members and Patreon supporters that could make up the difference. I could go 100% ad free, but I can't. I'm not to that point yet. Maybe someday down the road. Cross my fingers, knock on wood. Maybe I don't like the ads. I don't like them, watching content myself. I don't like the ads. I don't like having to sit there and go 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, and then finally being able to skip the ad and get back to where the content was and hope it didn't skip forward or pause or there's not an issue there, or the unskippable ones that are in gray across the screen. I hate those ones the most. I'm a little late to the comment because I'm at work, but for Will to be harsh is upset to me because I feel like honesty, integrity, and reporting is so important. It is. People don't like to hear the truth, though, Sprinkle, don't it? I've known that since before I ever started this YouTube journey. Before I put out the very first piece of content talking about true crime, I have a good friend of mine. I didn't he didn't sit me down in person, but we had a long conversation before I ever started, and he broke it down to me. You're always going to hear from the people who don't like your content or believe someone else. You're always going to hear from them first. You may never hear from the people that like you and support you. And when it comes to honesty, people want the truth. They say they want the truth, but what they want the sensationalism. They want you to, you know, take a jab at another creator, get into a channel fight with somebody else. You want them to, they want you to point out that this person, is an idiot, or whatever, or they stole the content. They want that. They want that drama. That's sensationalism. That's what sells. It's just like the evening news. What's the first story that the evening news always leads off with? If you've been around since the 1980s, Dire Straits told us in the 1980s, what money for nothing and the sex for free. What leads off the evening news is that, the decapitated body in a car accident. the murder that of an individual. That is the lead story. It's the front page news of the newspaper. It's not the feel good story about the little old lady who helped feed 39 children at her school because that's all she could afford, and she paid off their lunch accounts. That's not going to lead. That's going to get buried on page 12, or have a 20-second blurb at the end of a feel good story, so you feel good for watching all that crap before you got to the good story. That's the world we live in. I know that, and I've known that since day one. Honesty, integrity, yes, are very important to me. But I've known that it's not gonna win me any awards. I'm not gonna have some shiny plaque to put on my wall, because even if I got one, I wouldn't put it up. I'm not here for the hip hip hooray and a pat on the back. That's what I always tell my wife. Isn't that amazing, Lexi? So for the longest time, the picture of my house, where I currently live, was on Google Images, but it was an image of what the house looked like when it was being remodeled, not by us, but by the people we bought it from. And there was a big giant dumpster in the front yard, and the side yard, the garage door was kind of hanging. It wasn't on the tracks, so it was hanging because the place was built in 1944 and then run down. And then this couple bought it and they fixed it up and did a lot of work to it. But that image was on YouTube for the longest time. Not on YouTube, but on Google. And I always get a kick out of them. Maybe you guys have gotten these too. Is there's this company out there, they'll take that Google image and they put it on a letter that says, "We will buy your home," as if they went by and actually looked at it. It's a computer generated letter, and it automatically just picks the Google image. And I'm like, wow, they're gonna buy my house the way it looked 8 years before I bought it, and I've had it for 7. So good luck with that. But yes, you can. If anybody else out there, you can block Google from sharing your actual picture of your residency online. It grays out the entire page. The picture's still there, but it grays out the entire thing. But this chat is good. I've had a love hate relationship, Tom, with Facebook. I refuse to do. It started with Twitter. Twitter wanted you to pay to get the blue check mark next to your name. Well, Facebook is going down that same route that Twitter went, X now, to be a verified account. And I have found, and yes, in case anybody else out there is shocked by this at all, you shouldn't be. I have found multiple fake 411 now accounts on Facebook. People reposting my actual videos or my live streams on the page, and then trying to get people to believe that they won a prize. Hey, I randomly selected someone from the stream and gave them a prize. I gave up doing prizes years ago, in any shape or form at all. And I won't ever do it again because of the people out there that are scamming other people. I mean, I didn't charge anybody for anything. Shipping, nothing. I didn't charge anyone ever for anything. But even giving away stuff for free, now they always scammers like, I randomly picked you because you answered the most correct, questions correct, or you answered this double secret, question correct on the trivia night. Click on this link and, send me a Western Union for to cover the shipping, or go on to this and send me a $5 PayPal. It's all a scam. But again, here my love-hate relationship with Facebook, because I shut them down, they just pop back up. It's like playing whack-a-mole, the game in the arcade where you hit the little stupid thing with a hammer. I knock one down, another one pops up. And I can't get them to stop this because they say, you don't have a verified account. Why? Because I refuse to go through their stupid monetization program, to get monetized. I don't want to be monetized. I just want them to stop letting people take my business name and use it to start, a new Facebook group or page, or an event, because I found events too, and to scam people. So, yeah, and Twitter, Facebook, Twitter and X is the same way to a lot of extent. I whack one down, another one pops up. I whack one down, another one pops up. And a lot of times they'll take the 411 and they'll either put the dash in between it, or they'll put a / in between the 41 and then the now, or they'll 411 now and then they'll put will on the end of it, or a dash will. They're not me. If you're not in the Facebook group right now, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't accept new people into the group. It's closed and private. Hackers suck. Don't trust anyone online. I truly believe that, Tom, and you shouldn't believe me either. You should always question where you're getting your information from and who is giving it to you. You look forward to the Son of Sam stream tomorrow night? Again, tomorrow night, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Or if you're Tom or Gemma and you're in the UK, that'd be 12 midnight. I think, Tom, I think you're in Europe, aren't you? Or are you in Australia? I'm sorry if I don't remember exactly. I just know that I think you said that you were overseas. Ooh, I just looked down there and I saw the scroll is still going. I'm like, what? I thought I turned that off. This is 411 now. Crazy host with cardboard. Isn't that a nice feature? That's YouTube. YouTube, you can now add something underneath your actual name. Or you could put CEO or host or whatever. You can type in underneath your actual name. You can put in the mentally insane, off their medication, host, or whatever you want. That's YouTube, not my streaming software. YouTube, you can now do that. You can change it to anything you want, whenever you want. You can't turn it during the stream itself. AI is all over Facebook now. Hard to believe any post. Lexi, it's everywhere. I scoff at that because it's everywhere. Not just because you said Facebook, but it is everywhere. On YouTube, it thumbnails, this video description, keywords, search engine optimization, actual content itself. Those 5 things right there, AI, all over the place. Every time I log on to YouTube to upload a video, it wants to pick my thumbnail, my description, my title, my keywords, my search engine optimization. It wants to do 100% of that for me. Every time I log on to upload a video. I mean, it's so prevalent there. And then you can go down a deeper, darker hole where it wants to clip, and make shorts for you. I got a clip that I want to share with people. I don't know how to do it. It's only like 7 seconds long, but AI made me another video. I didn't ask it to. it just made a video anyways because it was listening to something that I was in the background, the music that I was listening to. I was listening to Morgan Wallen, and in the background, it clipped a second video and made it. Says, we have an AI video for you. In the video, it's a car driving down a road. There's trees on both sides of it. There's no one in the car driving this car down the road. I'm looking at it. I'm like, what? There's something odd about that car. I didn't key in on the fact that there was no one behind the wheel. There's no one in the car, period. And the car is speeding down a road. And I'm like, AI, I think you forgot the driver. It's only like 7 seconds long. I have it on my channel. I just haven't released it to anybody because I was like, where the hell do I even put this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this morning's stream. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in this morning to Blunders Balderdash and questions. But before we go, I have one question for you. Which one of these do you like more? Some variation of A or a variation of B. B is the thumbnail that you saw today on this channel. Which one do you like more? The A is the crossword puzzle, I guess it could be, something like Scrabble, but Blunders Balderdash and questions that way. Or the other one that is more up and close to a picture of me in Blunders Balderdash and questions. Why am I asking this question? And the reason why I'm asking is because A is a suggestion from AI. It was an AI suggestion on how I could change my thumbnail into that over what I'm using now. But which one do you like? Maybe there's a different variation of A or a different variation of B that you enjoy more. I don't know. Maybe you do. But anyways, I'm going to wrap up this morning's stream. Give this a thumbs up, on the way out the door, if you would, please, quickly. And I hope to see everyone again for trivia night tomorrow. It is again on the Son of Sam murders tomorrow night. That's at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock on the Eastern time zone, and 12 midnight in the UK. I do not know what time that would be in other parts of the world. But anyways, I hope that I see you tomorrow night for trivia night. In the meantime, if I don't see you for trivia night, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all again soon. In the meantime, you stay safe out there. And as Purple likes to tell us, you never know who's going to be standing next to you next, and you never know who's going to be knocking at your door. Bye.